What is up, guys? My name is Lex. Welcome to beautiful Fort Lauderdale Beach in South Florida. If you guys missed me last week, raise your hand. Okay, a couple of you. I do apologize. I didn't have enough time to post a vlog last week. Usually I post every single week, but unfortunately last week I was slacking. I was a little bit busy. I didn't post a poker vlog, but we're back again this week, going over a session I played last night at Harrahs Pompano Beach. It was a big one, 10-25 game, huge pots. I win some, I lose some. Make sure to stay tuned all the way to the end of the video where I end up playing one of the most exciting pots of the night. I hope you guys enjoy this one. Let's go. I show up slightly late to the game, so I end up getting the middle seat. Not the best seat for the vlog. I raise ace king, get two callers, three ways to king 2-7 with two clubs. All in all, pretty good flop. Top pair, top kicker, backdoor, king high flush draw. I decided to bet out here for $100 and only the big blind player makes the call. Turn card's a 5 of clubs. Really shouldn't change much other than a flush coming in. The big blind player now leads right out into me for a $375 bet. Well, I've got top pair, top kicker, and now the king high flush draw. Can't be going anywhere. However, I am definitely a little bit concerned she could have a flush. Going to the river card, which improves me now to top two pair with the ace of diamonds. I'm expecting her to slow down with any kind of king X hand that she may have, and even some two pair hands may slow down as well, but slowing down is not what my opponent decides to do. She fires out for an $875 bet. Unlike some of the GTO robot Euro players that I play against sometimes, there isn't too much bluffing in this game. There's a lot of calling, a lot of multi-way to the flop, so when she leads out here, she's basically saying she has a flush. I don't think she's betting a king X hand for this sizing. I don't think she has a set because I feel like she would just check raise that on the flop. Two pair seems pretty unlikely as well. I don't know, it's a close one. It's first hand of the night. I decided to make a disciplined fold with top two pair, putting her on a flush. I use my one-time button in order to see her cards, and am very disappointed when I see 7-5 of hearts for a worse two pair. Definitely a weird spot. I am interested to hear what you guys have to say in the comments about this hand. Now, when the ace comes on the river and she continues to bet, I just feel like her bluffs are very, very minimal, which means she's representing a flush or nothing at all. This was definitely somewhat of a mergy bet where she took a two pair hand and bet it for a sizing that she maybe would do with a flush as well. I don't know, kind of feel like an idiot. However, if she had a flush and I hero folded, I would look like a genius. On to the next hand. What'd you get?
The chimichurri, but basically it's mother burrito, same thing.
I call a raise with pocket fours, go four ways to 4-7-2, flopping middle set. The initial raiser checks, unfortunately. I bet small, $50, get one call here from the cutoff. We're going heads up here, out of position to the king of hearts on the turn. I feel like if I check to this opponent, it is possible he could fire out with some 7x hands with some bluffs, semi-bluffs. So I do decide to check over to him. He bets out $350, leaving himself with around $1,200 left in his stack. I consider check raising all in for his last $1,200, but I feel like just a really small min raise could work as well. So I make it $700 and he snap jams all in. I call. We're going to run this board out twice. First board's a queen, second board, full house for me. My opponent was on a draw and missed all of his outs apparently, and we win a nice pot, flopping a set, river in a full house. The chips are going in our direction. In this hand, the $25 straddle is on. The button open calls for 25. Pocket kings for me, and the small blind I raise to 100. I get three callers, four ways, 3, 4, 7, two hearts. All in all, pretty wet and connected board. Pocket kings, I elect to slow down here. Pot control and check. Straddler now bets out 225. Button folds. I call 225 and the big blind folds. We're heads up now to the 8 of hearts on the turn. I check again, and now my opponent fires out a $1,000 bet. Now remember what I said earlier about this game not having too much bluffing? Well, this particular player I do have a lot of history with, going back years and years at 2-5 and 5-10. At other properties, and this guy definitely is capable of putting in some bluffs. So I feel like with pocket kings here, we're going to call one more time and see what happens on the river. So I call $1,000 and a bad card comes out with the ace of diamonds. I check over to him for a third time and he goes all in for 1,700. We're just losing to everything now. Sets, flushes, straights, two pairs, ace, X of hearts. Just don't think we can ever call. I mean, he is representing a pretty strong hand taking this line, but I just don't see too many bluffs that didn't get there on the turn or on the river, so I fold. Somebody else is curious of what he has, so they use their one-time button, and he shows 5-6 for a flopped straight. Getting a little out of line pre-flop when I call a raise with 3-7 of clubs, but get rewarded on the Jack 3-7 board. An opponent bets out $600, and I just call with my bottom two pair. Turns a 9 of hearts, he checks, and I just put him all in for his last $1,000, which he ends up making the call. He shows king jack, I show two pair. We have to fade a lot of outs, a king, a jack, a 9, which we do, running it twice. We hold. In this pot, more chips are going our way, and now we're up about $1,000 on the night. Another pocket pair, 4 of hearts, 4 of spades, $100 raise. I call 6 ways to this flop. $600 in the middle to queen 2-4. That's our second set of the day with pocket fours. When the action checks over to me in later position, I decide to actually get a little bit tricky here and slow play and check this one back on such a dry and unconnected board. Turn card's a 5 of diamonds, now bringing in some straight draws. I mean, there is a couple straights out there, ace-3 and 3-6. When my opponents check to me for a second time, a bet is definitely in order. $325 to go. I slow played on the flop. I'm hoping that I don't really get too much credit here. Maybe I'll get looked up by weaker hands. There's also a flush draw out there now that I can get called by. And my opponents definitely must have something because I end up getting 3 calls for $325. Now, given the fact that nobody raised this $325 bet, I feel like they don't have a straight, so we're looking for a clean river with a set in this huge pot, and I get one of the worst rivers in the deck. It's the 3 of spades. Any ace now makes a straight. Any 6 now makes a straight. My opponents check to me. I don't see any point in betting, so I check back. And a middle position player shows 6-3 for a turn straight and a river straight as well. And our set is no good, losing this one to 6-3 offsuit. Oof, okay. I mean, what can you do? With the $25 straddle on, there's a call in later position by the same player who cracked my set with 6-3, ace of hearts, ace of diamonds on the button. What a beautiful sight. I raise it to $100. Get a call from the big blind and a call from my friend here on the right. And we're going 3 ways to jack 6-3. It's like the poker gods are trying to needle me from that hand earlier. It checks to me, I bet out $200. And now the same opponent who had 6-3 in the hand earlier check raises me to $500, leaving himself with around $1,200 left behind. I don't really like this spot, but I definitely think he could have a jack, right? I mean, he limp called pre-flop, shouldn't have pocket jacks for a set, could have a set of 6s, could have a set of 3s, could have 6-3 offsuit, I don't know. But I'm not going to fold a hand as strong as aces, so I make the call. Turn is a king, and my opponent pretty quickly goes all in for his last $1,200, and I am just not liking this spot. I mean, on paper, this looks like a pretty easy call, but I just feel like I'm beat here by 2 pair and a set. However, earlier on in this session, I folded top 2 pair, and I was wrong, so I just do not feel like folding anymore tonight. I make the call. We're going to run out this board 2 times. First river card's a diamond, not great. Second river card's a small card. It doesn't matter though. Aces are no good. Up against a flop set, pocket 6s, and around $2,000 is leaving my stack and going over to the man on the right. It's always tilting to lose with aces, but the good thing is that the action on this table is insane. Pocket 10s for me, a couple calls, I bump it big to $200, and just like clockwork, 3 callers for $200. We're going 4 ways, over $800 in the middle to a nice flop for pocket 10s. Ace, queen, 10. our third set of the night. I go very small with a bet here, multi-way, $200, just trying to keep ranges as wide as possible with a hand as strong as a set. I want all calls by top pairs, second pairs, gut shot straight draws, backdoor, flush draws, whatever. I end up getting one caller from the big blind, so now we're heads up, over $1,000 in the middle to a beautiful ace on the turn. Full house for me. I go big now, $1,000, thinking if he has an ace, or if he has a straight, he's always going to be calling. He doesn't have any of those. He just has a king. Must have had a gut shot straight draw. A nice big pot going our way, which leads into another big pot where I have ace six of diamonds. Pre-flop action is wild in this hand. I raised to 100. I got 3-bet to $300. There was 3 calls for $300, so I just have to call $200 more to win a big pot. So I make the call. And we see kind of a sketchy board, ace, 2, 8, all hearts. We flop top pair, bad kicker. There could easily be a flush out there. When the action checks to me, I check. Initial 3-better checks and the button checks behind. Turn card, beautiful. It's a 6, now giving me 2 pair. Could be deadly though if someone flopped a set or a flush. Action checks to me. I'm going to bet here I make it $500, 1/3 the size of the pot. Cutoff player who initially 3-bet me pre-flop folds his cards. The button player now calls my $500 bet, which is interesting because he checked back on the flop. Feel like this could be indicative of some king or queen X of hearts hands, possibly some straight draws as well. So we're going heads up here, $2,500 in the middle to a 7 on the final card. I think it's close between betting for value here and checking, looking to induce a bluff. Ultimately, I decided to check to my opponent, trying to induce him to bluff maybe missed hearts. But he checks back very quickly. I show ace 6, and he shows ace jack. So I'm somewhat kicking myself for not going for value on the river. We easily would have been called there. Oh well, can't complain. $2,500 pot is shipping our way. Started off a little bit rough there, but we've won some decent pots. I now have over a $7,000 stack. I'm in the game for $5K. If my math is correct, we're up around $2,500 on the day. I call a raise with Jack-9 offsuit and get a great flop where I flop the second nuts. I bet, my opponent calls on the flop, turn, and river. And we win another $1,500 in this hand before I get to move over to my favorite seat for vlogging, seat number 2. I get the most premium cards in this new seat change. First, ace, king of spades. I cold 4-bet to $1,200, get a call, flop an ace, and win that pot. Next, ace, king of hearts. I win around $2,000+ in that hand. And then very next hand, I get dealt in pocket aces and win another $500. Slowly but surely, our stack is up to around $12,000. In for $5K, $12K stack. That's a $7K profit on one day of playing poker. We're getting close to the end of the night. We've decided we're going to play for another 20 minutes. I'm only 20 minutes away from booking a big win of $7,000, my biggest win ever in this game, before I look down at pocket jacks. There's a $150 raise, a big raise pre-flop. I re-raised to $600 and my opponent makes the call. So we're heads up here out of position, 3-bet pot to another set. Ace, king, jack. Bottom set. What is that? 5 sets on the day so far? I bet small here, $400, like I would do with basically 100% of my range. I do have to be slightly concerned with queen 10, but other than that, I feel like he's never going to have aces or kings here. So when the turn card's a 6, I could bet big, but I actually think betting small again is good. I think if I was bluffing here, betting small would be fine to try to get him to fold out king X hands or jack X hands. I also want to keep him in there with all of his ace X holdings as well. If I fire out a huge bet on this turn, he may hero fold a hand like ace 10 or ace queen or something like king queen or king 10 as well, which I don't want him to do. So I just bet out $600 into this rather large pot. My opponent takes a while here on this turn. As I was looking over at him, his body language looked as if he was contemplating between a call or a raise. It didn't look like he was ever folding in his mind. And eventually, he calls $600. So I feel like that totally discounts queen 10 for the nuts. Pocket jacks, big pot brewing, 20 minutes left on the night. Looking for another clean river. Maybe just pair the board, make it easy. It's not easy though. It's a queen. This is what, the second time I've made a set and the board has run out one liner to a straight? Any 10 now makes a straight. Pocket queens beat us, but that seems very, very unlikely. Feel like it's just too thin to go with a bet here, so I slow down and check. My opponent does not check. He fires out a big one. $2,150 to go. Yuck. Nasty, gross, puking on the floor. We flop a set, big pot, facing a big bet, one liner to a straight. Can it get any worse? Now, for you guys to get the full picture here, my opponent in this hand is the same guy who I had pocket kings against when he flopped a straight, and I told you guys that he was capable of putting in big bluffs. I've seen it before. I've also been playing with him for years, and I know that he has that in his repertoire to put out some big bluffs. Also, I mean, maybe it is possible he could be going for some thin value, thinking that I never have a 10 for a straight. He's also a player who could potentially turn hands into bluffs as well. Maybe he does have a hand like ace-queen, thinks that I have a set, or ace-king, and feels like he needs to bluff with that hand. I don't know. It's a really close spot. With a set here, I just don't like folding this hand. I mean, he's representing a 10 and a 10 only here. What kind of 10s could he have? Well, he could have ace 10, he can have king 10, he can have jack 10, but we have two jacks. I don't think he's got queen 10 or pocket 10s. I'm really in the blender. I have no idea what I should do here. I do want you guys to pause the video now, go down into the comments below. Let me know what you would do here with a set of jacks on this river. Would you put in the call or would you put in the hero fold? After about 30 to 45 seconds longer of tanking, I decide, you got to show me, man. I hate folding in this game, so I end up making the call.
I folded. You had a lot of people that weren't. Wow.
As you can tell by the tone of my voice, we're not going to win this one. We lose to pocket 10s. How sick is that? Calls on the flop, calls on the turn with a gut shot straight draw, a queen and a queen only to win, and he hits it. I pay him off, and this is the last hand of the night. Table ends up breaking. I end up racking up my chips, heading to the cage, and cashing out for the night. Alright guys, that is it for this one. The dogs are finally relaxed and laying on the couch. They usually end up playing for like 5 minutes straight after I'm gone. I guess they just sleep the entire time I'm gone, and then when I get home, they're like, it's frickin' playtime. Anyway, I don't think I've ever been so tilted after winning $4,600. Tonight, I ended up winning $4,600, but on the ride home, I was just steamed up. I was tilted. I was annoyed. I was angry. I think a couple things are causing this. One is obviously I don't like losing big pots. I don't like making bad decisions, and I feel like that pocket jack's hand was possibly a bad call. Probably could have just hero folded that one. I mean, my hand is so strong, I don't really like calling off $2,000 when he probably has a straight, but that got me annoyed. The other thing is that I was upstuck. I was winning like $7,500, $7,000 profit, and then the last hand of the night, I get whacked for like 3K. And then the last thing is a term that maybe I've said before, but I've heard before too, is called entitlement tilt. Entitlement tilt is when you think that you should be winning more than you are, and then when you don't win or you don't win as much, you get tilted. So this is a term used for poker players, professional poker players, where they're playing in a game where they think they have an edge and they're not winning and they think they should be winning. And for some reason, despite this Harrahs game being the best game that I play, with the most money on the table, with the most action, with the best group of players, I just tend to lose a lot in this Harrahs game. It's a great game. It's an awesome game. I should be winning more than I am, but I just tend to lose a lot. I tend to run bad, run cold. I always just get in the game for like $8 or $10 or $12,000 in a 5-10 game. It's crazy. So tonight, I was actually having a great night. I was up like $7,500, and the entitlement tilt comes from like, I should be winning more in this game. You know, why can't I win? And when I'm up once, or I'm up in a big session, I want to be able to capitalize on that, because the other sessions I've got my ass kicked, or I broke even throughout the past year and a half. So those kind of things went into being a little bit tilted. You know, I just complained, I guess, a little bit after winning almost $5,000. But this session was interesting. I mean, I don't feel like I played my best. I feel like I made some mistakes here and there, made some bad checks, should have went for value, probably made some bad calls, made some bad folds. I did lose with aces. I lost with kings. I lost with 2 sets. So to come out with almost a $5,000 win, I feel like is a plus. I feel like that is good. As for the bankroll rebuild challenge, last time we talked, $19,600 was the deficit that we were trying to overcome. After having a great last 10 days or so, winning almost $13,000, I am now at only $6,600 away from getting back to even. So just about 6 weeks ago, I was at a $60K deficit. I had lost $60,000 in 3.5 months playing poker, and we came all the way back to only $6,000 away. Month of March, one of the best months I've ever had. I won $46,000 last month. This month, I feel like I'm doing pretty good. I had no idea how long this bankroll rebuild challenge would take. I didn't know if it was gonna take a month or 2 months or half a year. So I am happy that it's only taken a month and a half. I feel like we're gonna get there and then hopefully keep on going. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. It was a fun game. I'm excited to post out more videos just like this every single week. Please like, comment, subscribe, and until next time, I'll see you.